Hey there. You're listening to another episode of the DIY Marketing School podcast. I'm your host and your marketing coach, Melanie Diane Howe. And today we're going to talk about taking a little break in our business, but not taking a break in our social media. So maybe it's because you just need a vacation, you need to do some annual planning, you need to step away, it's a slow season, doesn't matter. You do need to take those times away. But today we're going to talk about how not to lose your momentum in your digital marketing content. All right, let's go. Well, hello. So excited to be with you here today. And I appreciate all of you that are listening. And some of you might be new to the podcast. And so welcome. And those of you that have been listening for a while now, I'm so grateful for you. I'm recording this episode towards the end of 2020, which has been an interesting year, to say the least. But it is a great time to reflect back and just think about all the things we've been through and the good things, the challenging things, and all the opportunities. And I got to say, I just want to say I'm really grateful for those of you that follow me and listen to me. And a big shout out to the members of my Facebook community, which is called DIY Marketing with Melanie. Y'all have been awesome this year and really just showing up for each other and helping each other out. And it's been a lot of fun. You guys have been showing up for our weekly live Q&As, and thank you so much for being there. And if you're not part of that community, just go find it on Facebook. Just do a search for DIY Marketing with Melanie and come on in. It's a free open community for anyone that is doing their own marketing and just wants to not do it alone and get support and get a little help and get encouragement and also encourage others. So that's what we do in there. But anyways, let's get to today's show. So as I said, I'm recording this towards the end of 2020. And I've been thinking a lot lately about, as we approach the holiday season, I think that it's a time when, I just think I see so many people. I've actually talked to so many people and they're just like, oh man, I just can't wait. Like, I'm going to take it easy this December. It's been a crazy year. We've been busting our butts and it's just been nuts. And I'm going to really use December to just slow down and just take some time and just be with my family and, just kind of take a chill. And I'm like, that sounds amazing. Like, that's actually awesome. I think it's wonderful. And I do think that you have to find those times throughout the year that works for you in order to have that break. Some people obviously, you can take vacation. Some people do retreats. They just kind of go away, go to the spa for the weekend, which sounds amazing. And sometimes people just take time off to spend time with family and their kids and whatnot, and just, whatever it might be. But it got me thinking, and it really, I wanted to do this episode about how to do that, about how to appropriately take a little time away, but not lose momentum in your business, because it is really critical. We work so hard to reach a new audience, to get new followers, to get new leads on our email lists, to get new customers, to raise awareness about what it is we're doing. And I don't want you to ever lose momentum of that. And when you take a break, take some time off, or maybe your business is kind of seasonal and sometimes you are just crazy busy and then sometimes you are crazy slow, there's a way to take that time back and give it back to yourself, but also not lose momentum in your marketing. And so that's what today's episode's about. It's essentially, how do we take that time off? How do we take that time away, but do it in a way so that we don't lose momentum? And, I do think that some businesses are seasonal. So for example, this time of year, we're in December, right? Some of you are like, this is your crazy time, especially anyone in retail, anyone that's in any kind of business where somebody's buying your products for gifts or anything like that. You're probably like going nuts right now. You probably don't even have time to listen to this episode, but this is your time to be crazy. But then maybe in the summer, things are slower for you. In fact, there's a lot of businesses in certain industries where they literally earn like up to 80% of their revenue, in their annual revenue during the holiday season, which that's just crazy, isn't it? But during all those other months of the year, they can't just take a vacation. They still need their business to be, aware. People need to be aware that they exist so that when it does come to the holiday season, that they can, be successful. So that's an extreme example. But the real specific type of example in the businesses I want to talk to are entrepreneurs and small business owners who maybe December's not your time to take a little time off. Maybe it's summer, doesn't matter, but it is important to do it. I do think it's really critical for us so that we can recharge. Again, kind of just if you work too hard and you work too much, you are going to get burnt out. And so it is important for you to look at your calendar, look at your year and decide, okay, when is it that I can actually take some time off? When can I take that break? And you may already know that. Maybe you've been in business for a while and you're like, yep. It's always after, it's right around June because we're super slow in June. So I always go on family vacation in June, whatever it might be. So think about that. But the thing I want to talk to you about today is why you can take time off. You can step away, but you cannot let your social media and your online marketing step away. That has to keep going. And so we're going to talk about how you do that while you are away, meaning how are you still showing up online while you are taking that time off or while you're slowing down, resting, recharging, or maybe even you're taking some time to do some annual planning, some future planning, some visionary work. And you've, maybe booked yourself an Airbnb somewhere in the cabin so that you can sit down with a whiteboard and just strategically plan, like, where is your business going to go next year and in the next 5 years? It doesn't matter. So these are moments when you just need to be away from operations, but I'm going to talk to you about why we need to stay in our social media and we can't have that gap. So really, let me just talk a little bit about why it's important that we don't take that gap. It's really critical that we maintain that momentum online. One of them is that if you take a break from social media and you stop posting your regular content, if you stop showing up online, the algorithms are going to come after you. And so, we've talked about the algorithms before on this show. If you're not really sure what I'm talking about, go back to episode 4. It's the 4th episode. Scroll all the way to the beginning and listen to episode number 4. And explain what the algorithms are. But if you take that break and you have a gap in your content, the algorithms are going to not work in your favor. They are going to kind of just assume you're not around. And you're going to basically lose points in the algorithm game. And so that's important, right? Because we work so hard and the algorithms are always creating a challenge for us, always making it unique, always making it hard. The algorithms, keep in mind, are there for the user experience. They are there to make a high quality user experience for the social media platforms. And we want that. We want the users to enjoy the platform that we're using to market ourselves because that's where they are. That's where they're hanging out. And we want that. So you can choose to be angry about the algorithms or you can choose to just embrace them and learn about them. Again, episode 4, I cover all that stuff. So I don't want to go down that rabbit hole I started to. I'm going to reel myself back in. All right, so there's that one. And then the other one, another reason is that when you have gaps in your content, you're also leaving your loyal followers hanging. And it could create a disconnection. So, if you've got people that are listening all the time and they're used to hearing from you, they're used to seeing you online, they're used to seeing you on live video every week or whatever it might be, then all of a sudden, if you take a break and you take a little hiatus, you're leaving them in the dark. You're leaving them hanging. They're like, where is she? Where'd she go? Like, I was looking forward to this. This is so helpful for me. And that can create a bit of a disconnect. They kind of can move on and forget about you. I know it sounds crazy, but they can actually forget about you because you guys, there's a million people in the world right now. Well, millions. What I'm saying is there's so many choices for who we can consume content from, so many choices for who we can talk to, who we can follow, who we can tune into. And it's kind of overwhelming, right? I mean, you probably get overwhelmed. Like I get overwhelmed. There are times when I'm like, oh my gosh, I really want to go to this virtual conference, but I am like e-learned out right now. I need to apply the stuff that I'm learning before I learn more stuff. And so I sometimes feel that way even with like my podcast feed. I'm like, oh gosh, I just can't consume any more content right now. But I will pick those people that I want to listen to. And you are probably that person for somebody. And when you take that break or you step away and you go dark, you're leaving them hanging. And your loyal followers are the ones you want to take care of the most. Your lifers, right? You want to take care of them. Your advocates, the people that tune in all the time. So we're going to talk about how you can make sure they're taken care of here in just a minute. The other thing I wanted to point out though is when you take a break like this, if you go kind of dark for a while, you're going to lose your flow. So you're going to lose your flow and your momentum when it comes to actually being in the social space. And I can tell you, I've experienced this more often than I'd like to admit. But that's why I actually wanted to talk about it because I've experienced it. I've felt it. I've seen it. I know how painful it can be. It's kind of like working out. I mean, it is. It's like you work out, let's say you spend 6 months in the gym and you are like in great shape. You've been training, you're training for like a 10K and you're just doing great. You go run your 10K and you come back and you're like, whew, that has been so much work. I've been busting my butt in the gym. I need a little break. I need a little breather. And so you take a break, give yourself some room. You don't go to the gym for a couple weeks, maybe even longer. And when you go back to the gym, what's happened? You're not as in shape. You can't lift the same amount of weight. You are struggling to keep your breath and you get pissed. You're just like, God, I had it. Like I just tried to run 3 miles and I could barely get past 2 and I'm like dying. I mean, I just ran over 6 miles and I was fine. And now I can't even get a 3-mile run in. I was running 3 miles 5 times a week, no problem. So I've experienced that. Like I've actually experienced that working out. And it's very difficult. And when you take a break from the gym, you know what's really hard? To go back to the gym, especially if you've done this before. You know what it's like. You're like, oh man, it's been too long since I've been in there. It's going to be starting over from scratch again. I'm not going to love how I look in the mirror when I'm working out. And it's just going to be like, ugh, right? And that's kind of what it feels like when you take a break, which maybe you were like, I'm going to take 2 weeks off or I'm going to take 3 weeks off. Next thing you know, it's been 3 months and you haven't done anything. You haven't posted. You look and you're like, oh my gosh, I haven't done this and that. I haven't sent an e-blast out in 3 months. Oh my gosh, I haven't done a live video in 6 months. Like it does happen. I've been there. It happens. So you lose that flow and that momentum and you honestly lose track of time. You will feel like it was just the other day that you were publishing content. And next thing you know, weeks have gone by, months have gone by, maybe even longer. And getting those engines fired up again is not easy. It's possible. So if you're sitting here right now and you're like, oops, that's me. I took that break a while ago and it's been a long time. This has been a crazy year, you guys. There's a lot of businesses that have been stuck. They've felt stuck and they kind of went dark. That could be you. Maybe you are in that space right now, but we're not going to worry about that right now. You're going to get out of that. You're going to get out of it. You're going to get back to it and you're not going to do that again, right? All right. So let's talk about how we can make sure that we don't let this happen. So here's how you handle those slower times or the down times, or when you just need to take a step away and get some different time for yourself, for your family, for planning, whatever it might be. Okay. Here's how you do it. You plan for it. It's honestly that simple. It's not easy, but it's simple. You plan for it. So first, you got to know what's coming. So you're going to look at your trends and your history of your business and look at your promotional calendar in advance, right? That's always a good way to look at it. Look at your revenue trends. What are you promoting in advance? Look at that calendar. If you don't have a promotional calendar or you're sitting here thinking like, I don't have one of those, I would highly encourage you to do that. It doesn't have to be fancy at all. Literally get out a calendar, get out a notebook. I don't care. And just, your business. You've got to sit down and say, okay, when am I promoting? When am I launching? When am I going to run sales? Whatever business you have a way. I mean, if you're in the jewelry business, pretty sure Valentine's Day is pretty important for you, right? You're probably going to run some promotions. That's what I'm talking about. Sit down, look at the calendar at a glance, meaning like take a 10,000 foot level and just look at it and say, okay, here's when I'm going to be doing things. This is when I'm really busy. This is when I'm really slow. And decide, one, what are you going to do about that? Because sometimes if you're like, this is when I'm really slow, well, then sometimes that's a great time to go back and work on your business. Sometimes that's a good time to actually run promotions and sales so that is not a slow time. So you have to make that decision first. So if you don't have that figured out, you got to figure that out first. And then you need to look at this calendar and you need to decide, okay, when am I going to take the breaks? When am I going to take vacations? When am I going to step away? When is it possible for me to do that? When does it make sense? And that, again, is going to be you either working that timeline is either going to work around your business or it could work around your personal life. It just depends, but they got to go together, right? And so, but either way, you've got to decide when is this going to happen and then you can plan for it. And that's what we're going to do. Okay. All right. So now that you've identified when your downtime is going to be, it can be multiple times per year, by the way. I keep saying downtime, but it's like literally, it probably should be multiple times per year. So for a lot of people, it's like a summer season and then it's a holiday season, but whatever it needs to be for you. So decide when these times are going to be, okay? And that's what we need to do. So now that you've done that, you can now create a plan that's going to allow you to step back and take a break, but without losing momentum. And we're going to do that because you need to continue to publish content regularly. And that's exactly what you're going to have to do. So when you step away for these times, that doesn't mean your content has to stop. So what you're going to do is you're going to make sure that you have a batch of content ready before these vacations or these downtimes happen. So what does it mean to batch your content? Basically, what it means is you're going to sit down in sessions and you're going to work up a batch of content. And so, for example, when you sit down to write a blog post or you sit down to come up with ideas, you're not going to stop at one idea, right? You're going to sit down and you're going to come up with 20 ideas. And then you're going to pick the 4 or 5 ideas that you're going to roll with. And then you're going to sit down, you're going to schedule a time, and you're going to create that content in a batch because you're in the zone, you're in the flow. If you're having to start and stop all the time, so for example, if you publish, a podcast or a blog article or a new video every week and you kind of start and stop that process every single week, that's just not very efficient. But if you sit down and say, today, I'm going to create content. Today is writing day, or today is recording day, or today is video day. You know why? Because your studio, your office, your mental capacity, your makeup, your outfit, whatever, is not necessarily conducive to just, okay, I'm gonna do an episode right now. You might have to do some setup. You might have to plug in your microphone. You might have to get your lights out of the closet. Like whatever that is, that is inefficient. And so when you sit down and create content in batches, it's actually more efficient. It's actually a very smart way. So if you're not already doing something like this, it's something you should actually consider doing anyway in your business, but it's extremely critical and important for you to work up that batch of content so that you can then do what's next. And that is, so you've got your content batched for this downtime. Now you can use scheduling tools to schedule your posts. So most websites and email service providers allow you to create content like your blog article or your emails ahead of time. So you create them and then you can actually decide inside of the platform when it's going to go live or when it's going to be sent. The same goes for podcasts. So I actually use Buzzsprout for my podcast hosting. I can upload my episodes, write my descriptions, do all of the work. I get not only the MP3 file, I can get it from there. I can also get the embed code so that I have that audio player. I can get all that stuff before it even goes live in the podcast world. And so I can actually get all those pieces, take those pieces, embed them wherever I need to embed them in the blog posts, for my show notes and whatnot, put them in the email, schedule all that stuff ahead of time. And once that podcast goes live, everything kind of trickles out afterwards. And so sometimes, and if you have like all these different things that you're doing, you're creating weekly content, you're also emailing, you're using social media, you might have to map out a plan for this. So obviously you're going to batch the core content, which is your podcast, your video, your blog article, whatever it might be. Batch that first. Then you're going to go create the content that you use to spread the word about that. And then you're going to, if you're using email, which dear God, I hope you are, then you're going to then write those emails and schedule those accordingly. And so it kind of creates a little ripple effect, right? Podcast goes live. Now your blog post can go live. Now your email can go out. Okay. Now your social posts can go out. So there are tools, right? So like I said, your websites, your email service providers should all handle that stuff. If you're or you're using social media, you might want to look at a tool like Hootsuite or Buffer. There's other ones out there. Actually, now there's Planoly. There's so many social media scheduling tools. All you really need to do if you don't have one is just Google social media scheduling tool and you will see a lot. There are free ones, there are paid ones. You can also, if you're only on Facebook and Instagram and you're on a tight budget, then you don't even need one of those tools. All you need to do is go to Facebook Creator Studio and you can schedule your posts for Facebook and your Instagram. If you're in a Facebook community or Facebook group, you can schedule a post for that. You can do all this stuff and it is possible. So again, you're going to work on batches. So you're going to batch your content for this time period that you're out. You're going to create it, and then you're going to write all the stuff that you use to promote it, and you're going to schedule it. Now, when you go away and you actually step away for whatever it is you're doing, then the stuff's on autopilot. Like you're like out shopping with your kids and your blog post goes live and the email goes out while you're shopping with your kids. This is actually the process you should be using in your business already. And maybe you already are. So if you already are, you're one step ahead. You already know how to do this so that you can take the time away. Your key is going to be that you plan for it. If you are still sitting here thinking, oh my God, I'm not doing any of this for my business. I'm doing everything as I create it, whatever. Well, then now I want you to think about this process for your business and use it first for your regular business. Maybe try to do it, start small. If you're doing everything kind of as it's happening, then I want you to start small and start with, okay, I'm going to do a whole week's worth of stuff. I'm going to automate it and schedule it 1 week. You do that, get good at it, feel it out, learn the tools and the applications, and then start doing it where you're going to say, I'm going to sit down, I'm going to create 2 weeks of stuff. And then maybe even get to a point where you're going to say, I'm going to do an entire month's worth of content, right? So that might be what you do. And if that's what you're going to do, great. Now you're ready to do the same process for the time that you go out of the office, if you will. Okay, so now we're going to plan for it. We're going to work in batches. We're going to batch all the stuff so that we can schedule what we can and put it on autopilot. But there is one thing, there are a few things that we cannot necessarily schedule or put on autopilot. So we need to make sure we think about these things as well. Okay, so here's the deal. I'm going to cover 3 things that we can't put on autopilot, but you know your business, okay? There's a lot of things you probably technically cannot put on autopilot. You know that, right? But these are 3 things that I want to cover because these are the 3 things I want to make sure that you focus on. And these are the 3 things that I feel like obligated to share that you think about. Okay, so here, the first one is support and responses to questions. So this could be in the form of emails coming into your business, phone calls even, depending on your type of business, in questions that might get posted in let's say a Facebook community. If you have a program and part of that program is a Facebook community, then, the same thing goes these are just questions, but these could be support questions. Like if you have products that people have questions about or services, or even programs that they're trying to enroll in or they want to enroll in and they have questions first. And it could also just be in general, questions that you get, that like depending on what your business is. If you are like me, I have my Facebook community, the DIY Marketing with Melanie Facebook group, and people ask questions in there. Well, if I just ignore those things, that's not cool. That's not cool, right? So here's the deal. You've got 2 options here. You can assign these items to someone else. So that could be someone in your business. If you have a team, you can assign them to somebody else, or you can hire a VA, a virtual assistant, who can help keep an eye on things while you're out. Now, granted, keep in mind, it's going to be difficult for you to hire a virtual assistant just for these times when you're out. If you are in a position where you have a virtual assistant already helping you, then what you might want to do is say, hey, during this time of the year, during this month or this week or whatever, we need to increase your hours. I want you to keep an eye on things while I'm out. That's kind of what I'm talking about here. It could be pretty challenging for you to just hire a VA just to help support while you're gone. If you don't have that, then here's the deal. If you have, let's say, you have a really active and engaged community, you can be transparent and let them know that you're going to be out. So you're going to say like, hey, we might be slower to respond. This is our annual 2-week, where we go, I let all my team take vacation, or we do a retreat, whatever it might be, and just let them know, hey, we're going to be out of the office during these times. So we might be slower to respond. But you could also even reach out to your community. Like maybe there's somebody who's just a great ambassador in your community. You can reach out to them and say, hey, would you mind for these, couple of weeks or this month, keep an eye on things for me. I'm going to give you a way to communicate with me. And if anything urgent comes up, let me know and I'll take care of it. But can you just make sure, keep an eye on things, help moderate the group, keep people supported. And, in return, I'm going to give you, whatever your business is. Your business, you can give them a discount. You can give them a free program. You can pay them, give them a little, stipend for doing that. There are a lot of ways to get help when you're out, but you need to have a plan for it. And like I said, you either need to find a way to have somebody else help you in your business or out of your business, or if you can't do that, then you need to let your people know. You need to let your communities know, turn on your out of offices, find a way to support them when you're gone. Okay. But you got to let them know. Don't leave them in the dark. So that's one that's a little tricky, and you got to have a plan for it. And your business, your business operations. This is part of what you got to do. So another thing that can't be scheduled is responding to engagement you receive on your social media content. So this is like, when all that stuff I talked about that you're going to pre-schedule and have it go on autopilot. Well, what if it's amazing stuff and people start commenting on it or even asking questions on it? So unless you have a social media team or a social media manager, a coordinator, somebody like a VA, even a virtual assistant, this is something I suggest you not leave alone while you're out. So I definitely think that, when we own a business, I hate to say this, but there really is, it's very difficult to truly, fully take a full step away. And this is one of those things that I think you got to just keep your eye on. And you just need to determine a schedule for yourself and check on your content. So I'm not saying you need to be checking it all day long, especially if you're on vacation and you want to be away or you're trying to be present with your kids. That is fine. But schedule some time. Maybe it's before the kids get up in the morning. You get up, you have your coffee, and the first thing you do is you check on your content. You do a quick little social media drive-by and you check on all your stuff and make sure there's nothing in there that's critical, that you don't want to leave any comments hanging. You want to respond to those comments, because if you don't respond to comments, that's going to reduce your engagement. It's also going to, again, leave people hanging. And when people talk to you, they want to be responded to. It's no different than if somebody walked in your store and started talking to you. You wouldn't ignore them. You would respond to them. Well, social media is the same way. It's meant to be social. So have a plan for this. And this is, again, something you probably just cannot necessarily leave unless you have somebody else that is responsible for it. So have a plan, even if it's 15 minutes a day, if it's an hour a day, whatever, have a plan for it. Check on this stuff. It's very critical that you check on the content right after those posts that you scheduled go out, because obviously within the first 24 hours is when you're probably going to get the most engagement. And so you want to make sure that you're ready within that first 24 hours of those posts going out. So keep that in mind too. All right. So the last thing I want to mention here is live video. I love live video. I am a huge fan of live video because of how engaging and how great the results are, among a million other reasons. But you obviously cannot pre-record and schedule live video. Okay, so technically you can, but I don't recommend it. What I mean by technically, you can actually pre-record a video, act like it's live, and then there are ways where you can actually publish it and it will go on your social media as a live video that is technically pre-recorded. I don't recommend it. It's actually against most of the social media platforms' policies to do it. People do it, but they shouldn't. You shouldn't either. It doesn't really offer value. Just if you want to create the videos and you truly don't have the capacity or the way to go live while you're doing this downtime, then what I want you to do is I want you to create a regular pre-recorded piece of content and just schedule it as a video and let it go up as a video and say something like, hey, normally I do live video. Normally I go live this time every week. However, this week I'm actually, whatever, on the beach. We're at retreat. We're doing annual planning. I'm, taking the week off to hang out with my kids. Whatever it is, it's okay to let people know but you can still create content that's valuable, but don't fake it. Just post it as a regular video. Okay. Now, here's what I would say. If you're going to maintain the live video while you're out, then don't feel obligated that it has to be the same kind or same level of quality. So for example, my live videos, I do them in my home studio. I've got a setup. I've got 2 monitors. I've got lights. I've got a microphone, a USB microphone. I've got a camera. I mean, it's a setup. It's like, I call it my little studio. If I'm on the beach, I can't do that. If I'm on vacation or if I'm on a retreat somewhere, I'm not going to take all that crap with me. No. I do have a little bit of a mobile setup that I do take sometimes, but no. What I'm saying is if that's the kind of videos that you're creating, then don't feel obligated to create the same kind of video. Grab your dang phone and just do a live video on your phone and just say, hey, I'm not in my normal studio right now because here's why. So go a little behind the scenes, be a little transparent, let them into your world. It will actually create more connection. People do like to connect with the non-polished, non-perfect, non-professional version of who you are. It makes you human. And so, you take vacations too, you take time off, you step away, you do annual planning. And depending on what your business is, when you go behind the scenes a little bit and let them know what it is you're doing or working on or why you're taking this time away, maybe that's actually information they need to hear. Maybe they're going to get motivated by it or inspired by it to do the same thing. You could talk about what you did to plan for that time away. You could do a little behind the scenes. Say, hey, we're at our annual retreat. Here's our little whiteboard over here. Here's what we're working on. You could even use that if that's what you're doing. If you're planning for the future, use it as an opportunity to share with them the ideas you're coming up with and get some real-time feedback. How fun would that be? People like to feel like they're involved in the process. And so I personally am a fan for taking time away, taking vacations, but I know how easy and how possible it is to just grab a phone and do a live video no matter where you are. And I would encourage you to do it. I would encourage you to make that happen. And sometimes we call these live streams. I got that. I think it's a term out there, but one of my mentors, Laura Petrucci with Live Streaming Pros, she always would call these live streams. And it's where you're just like out doing life and you just grab your phone and you're like, hey, look what we're doing. We're at IKEA, or whatever, and do it as your business. But it's a live stream. It's not a super polished professional sitting in front of your studio with an agenda and a flow. You're just out there doing it and kind of winging it and having fun, right? And so do a live stream. People love them. Lets them get to know you. So that's what I say. All right. So those are the 3 areas I wanted to cover that you really can't schedule and put on autopilot. So you, again, need to plan for those things, or you need to find a way to maintain them while you're out. So that's what I got. All right. So as a quick recap, right? You need to make this all of this has to do with making a plan. I hope you are seeing that. This is about making a plan. And to make the plan, you first have to identify when it is that you are going to take these down times or these off times or vacations or whatever it is, when you're going to kind of like chill a little bit, right? So you're going to plan that out. You're going to know when it's happening so that you can plan for it. And then you're going to still create content, but you're going to create it in a batch so that you can pre-publish it, pre-schedule it, so that when you are gone, it still gets published on the regular schedule. It still gets out there. The social posts are still out there, and that's all done. And then you're going to also have a plan for the things that you can't necessarily put on autopilot. And that is, of course, the things I just covered: supporting your people, answering questions, dealing with the engagement on your social media, and live video if that's part of your plan. So it's your business, right? You do what you're going to do. If you are going to take 5 vacations a year and you're going to say, it doesn't matter, my business is just fine, I'm going to do it the way I've been doing it, that's fine. It's you and your business. You know your industry, you know your customers, you know yourself. Do what you got to do. I simply just want to encourage you to maintain the momentum when it comes to your content. So I'm not going to preach about like laser precision on consistency and all that stuff. I'm just saying, don't go dark. Do not just go dark. Even if you produce less content, keep it going. Keep the momentum going, okay? Don't just go dark, because I will tell you, I know this from experience, that it is hard to fire up the engines again. It takes a while to get back into the flow. It can be difficult. And so I want to encourage you to avoid those big gaps in your content. And I really hope that this episode not only motivates you or helps you to maybe reconsider thinking about how you take those downtimes, but also I hope it was helpful for you to hear a process for how you can do that and still be successful in both having that time away and in creating content for your business. So that's what I have for you guys today. I'm going to wrap this one up. Nice little pretty bow on top. Hope it was helpful. If you like this episode, of course, I would love for you guys to give me a review. Where you're listening to podcasts, they absolutely help all of us podcasters. And I just like the feedback. I really enjoy receiving the feedback from you guys. So open up the app, give me a review and type a review. Don't just click a star. Well, 5 stars. Click and type something in there. Use your voice. I want to hear what's working for you, what's not, and I want to know more. And of course, if you are part of my DIY with Melanie DIY Marketing with Melanie Facebook group, hop on in there and let me know your thoughts in a post over there, or ask a question. If you've got follow-up questions about this process, let me know. Let me and the community help you. And if you're not in the community, come join us. Get over there. Go to Facebook, do a search, DIY Marketing with Melanie. You'll find us, join it, answer the questions, and welcome to the group, essentially. So, all right, you guys, I'm out of here. Go have a good one. Go plan some stuff. Go batch it. Go schedule it. Do what you got to do. And I wish you all the success as you wrap up this crazy year, 2020. My goodness. Or if you're listening to this in the year 2021, from future Melanie to you, welcome, and let's make it a great year no matter where you're sitting or what you're doing. And my loyal followers know the drill. But if you're new, here's what we do. We always end it, and we always decide that somehow today, some way, we're going to go be awesome. So go do that. Just go be awesome and have a great day. All right, you guys, I'll see you next time.